It's nice to be here, everyone. So tonight is a great night where it's a new year, and it's 2015. We've established as the year of the wellness transformation. And the last couple of months, I've had so many people, patients, clients that have commented on how this year is the year that they're going to really make some shifts. So I kind of feel that in my own personal life, I feel the same way. There's a lot of things happening. So people are wanting to, I think, take charge of their own health nowadays. And so this time of year is a very typical time that people start to think about their health. They start setting resolutions. And like I said, I've been doing this for 22 years now. And every year I see the same thing. People are wanting to start making changes. And the thing about resolutions is, they're both good and bad, I think. I think it's great to think about what you want to create for the year. I've always set goals and resolutions. Ever since I was a kid, I remember thinking, I would always think about something that I would want, and I would figure out how can I go get that, and I've always done that. So every year I do write my own resolutions and set my goals, and I go after those things, and at the end of the year I like to look back and tick things off that I've done, and some things I haven't, I'll maybe pass them over. But I think it's a great way to keep yourself driving toward a bigger vision for yourself, is to set goals and resolutions. Here's the problem that I see with health resolutions, and actually statistically, which I think is fascinating, 75% of the people that make resolutions drop out after 1 week. And only 8% of people that make them actually achieve them by their time frames. And so I got to thinking about why is this such a low percentage and what can be done about it. And what I've noticed is this: people make resolutions sometimes out of desperation. Like, oh gosh, I've gained weight over the holidays, I got to do something. And they'll make a resolution to maybe exercise or eat a certain way. And then within a few days or weeks, guess what happens? They're back off their goals again, and then next year rolls around and they gain weight and they start all over again. Is this familiar with anybody? Anybody understand? So I've seen this a whole lot. I've seen it in my life as well, but I see it a whole lot in practice with patients and when I'm coaching clients. And so what's the key? So I started thinking about, what is the secret here? How do you make the resolutions and make it change? And the answer is, it's about creating a shift in your thinking, and which then in turn you create a whole lifestyle change. Because if you can create a lifestyle change, then what you've done is you've created something that's going to stick. And I think one of the issues that people do is they have a resolution and they set these goals, and they may not be as realistic, and they set expectations on themselves that they can do for a week or two, but it just doesn't sustain in their entire life. And so when you can create a lifestyle shift, which means that it actually becomes who you are, what you think about and what your actions are, it's just a part of your daily life, then it's easy to maintain that because now it fits into your world. And so when we talk about creating your wellness lifestyle, this is what it's all about, is learning to create a shift in your thinking and create the long-term permanent changes that last forever. And it's not something you have to work on, it's just something that you do. Okay, and if you can get to that state, then I think you can make those shifts that will last. So that's kind of what this whole course is about. Tonight's about beginning that transformation, learning about what it is to make your own health transformation. And each month we're going to have different talks that are going to explore different topics and different areas that I see are common that people, the reason they fall out. And we want to help you make that shift, not just for a week or 6 weeks or 6 months, but for your lifetime. Does that sound like something you'd like to learn about? And so we're going to cover 3 main points tonight. Number 1, we're going to discuss the wellness triad, which is the 3 stress areas that can create ill health and can cause you to have stress in your life. We're going to discuss what's called your rich model, which is exploring the different areas of your life that you have to take into account when you're setting resolutions and setting goals, which I think is one of the biggest challenges people do, is they don't realize that when you are going to make changes in your health and you have a new plan, if you don't take into account the rest of your life, then all of a sudden as you get busy and life happens, health is one of the first things to drop back off. Because everyone has different values and different things that are important. And if your health was number 1 on your list, you probably wouldn't be sitting in here. You'd already have the health that you desire and the lifestyle. And so this is about creating that change and incorporating it into your life. The third point we're going to talk about is how to come up with your own wellness roadmap. And we're going to explore the 5 Ds of how to create your wellness roadmap, okay? Does this sound like something that you're interested in tonight? And later, we're going to have an offer that if anyone wants any extra support, then I'm going to offer you some ways when you can get some support one-on-one, as well as our Facebook page, New Year, New You 2015. And we're going to be daily, every day or two, posting tips, information, ideas, suggestions, and it's a forum for you to ask questions and get some ideas on how you can maintain your health. Because I think it's nice to have a group if you're involved with that can encourage you, and you can share your goals and share your successes and even share some of your challenges that you're having, because everyone has the same challenges you do. And so we've created this group for that particular reason. So I'd like to go and get started on a little bit about how to create your wellness lifestyle. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about my wellness journey that I've been on. I haven't always been the healthiest guy in the world. As a matter of fact, when I was 17 years old, I was in college, and I was studying to be an accountant. Okay, and I thought I was feeling pretty good. I was a senior in high school, and had a girlfriend. I had a nice CRX, nice car, and I was a pretty hip kind of dude, I thought, And so, but I didn't think I needed to wear a seatbelt. And so I was driving to work. Guy pulled out in front of me. I slammed into him. Head went through the windshield. Almost died, is what I was told. But I woke up in the hospital, and I was in bad shape. I was physically in bad shape, and I was also emotionally in bad shape because, I was a senior, and first thing I was thinking was, oh my gosh, I can't do things anymore. I like to have my own space and freedom to do whatever I like doing. And if you ever notice that when your health is in jeopardy, all of a sudden you lose those kind of things. Okay, you lose your ability to be able to have freedom and do the things you love doing. And so I was experiencing that at 17. I couldn't move my neck, couldn't move my head. I was in a lot of pain. And I was in the hospital for a day or so, and I remember the doctor came in, and he said, okay, you're all good, you can go home now. And I'm like, but I can't move my neck and shoulder, and I'm in a lot of pain. And he said, well, good, here, take these prescriptions. And he wrote 3 prescriptions out, pain pills, muscle relaxers, and anti-inflammatories. He said, take these and you'll be just fine. And as a 17-year-old, I thought, this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I've always been the kind of guy, even as a kid, where I like for it to make sense. I'm going to keep asking questions till I understand it. And I bugged my teachers to death. And the worst answer I would ever get was because I said so, which totally didn't make sense to me at all. And what I later found out was, well, they probably actually don't even know the answer. That's why they say that. Because I've done that to my kids, right? And so as a 17-year-old, I was like, this doesn't make sense. So I left the hospital. Ended up finding my way over to the chiropractor, okay? And went into the chiropractor. I remember he explained to me exactly what was wrong. And it made sense to me, and the light bulb went on. Like, oh, I understand this now. So I began some treatments, and within 6-8 weeks, I was out of pain, couldn't move my shoulder, neck didn't hurt, and I felt great. And I was like, wow, what did you just do to me? This is fantastic. And when he explained to me about chiropractic and how the body works, I was sold. And so I knew at that time, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. And so I dropped all my classes that I was taking for accounting because I didn't like it anyway. Started taking what I needed to take to get into chiropractic school. And I was 20 years old when I got into chiropractic school and started. I was the youngest one in the school. Most people are around 30, they're old guys, I thought when I was 20, 30 was old then, And so, so I started chiropractic school and was really inspired about it. And when I was... and I learned in chiropractic school how the body works and the importance of the physiology of the spine and keeping a healthy nervous system and how posture is important and the structure and how really key that was, because that's what I was going through. Is I had lost my physical structure, and I was really inspired about learning how I can help others with that problem. And so went to school, graduated when I was 24, which is pretty young. 2 weeks later, I'm opening up a practice down the street here in Whitesboro, and kind of green, didn't know a whole lot, but I knew that I wanted to help people. And so I just started helping people. I started doing adjustments, and people would get better, and I was working with their structure, and I realized the value of physically being able to work on someone and how physical stresses can really affect your entire life. And so So it went on for a good while, and I physically was in pretty good shape. I exercised, I worked out, I felt physically really nice, but I didn't really understand a lot about nutrition at that point in my life, and I didn't really make the connection, I think like a lot of people do now, which is what you put in your body affects how you feel physiologically. And so I began to not feel that great. Physically I was good, but I was kind of run down. I had some allergy symptoms. I had some ear infections, and I just didn't feel very good. I wasn't sleeping well. I'd have to go home at lunch and take a nap because I was just worn out, and I didn't understand why. So I began to explore the nutrition aspect, and I began to look and see, what am I putting in my body? And I would go to work, and I'd stop by Daylight Donuts, pick up some chocolate donuts and some chocolate milk, and that was my breakfast, and I'd maybe have a hamburger and fries for lunch, and go home and eat whatever we did, maybe some hamburger helper, and maybe have some ice cream after. I love having ice cream every night. And so I began to think, wow, maybe this is why I don't feel so good. And so at that point, I started exploring how I was feeling after I ate these certain foods, and I began to put in different foods. And I then began studying about nutrition and vitamins and minerals and how the body needs proper nutrition to function. And I was devouring that just as much as I was devouring the physical part a couple years earlier in school, And so I began to shift my thinking about health in regards to nutrition. And I started changing my diet, eating more vegetables and more fruits, and really looking to seeing what my body likes. I looked at an allergy test, and I looked and see, what does my body not want and what does my body want? And I began to notice when I eat certain foods, I felt better when I ate other foods. So I began to listen to my body, and it was a big transformation for me, because I then took that information into my practice and I began adding nutrition. And so now I've had patients that are coming in for physical problems, and now I'm adding the nutrition piece to it, and now all of a sudden my scope widened about the number of patients that I was seeing. The practice kept growing. And so when I added that nutrition piece, all of a sudden I'm helping people with allergies and digestive problems and fatigue and high blood pressure and all those things that good nutrition helps. And so it was really great for me to be able to do that, and my practice kept growing. And I was probably about 26 at that point. And then when I hit 30, I was feeling pretty good physically. And chemically, I was eating well, so I felt good, and I knew about nutrition. My body was feeling great, and I thought I was looking pretty good. But then I started having some stresses during that time in my life, a lot of emotional stresses, because I had my practice, and then I was married and had kids, and life was happening. And as you know, life has stresses to it. And so I began to realize that, man, when I get stressed out, I didn't feel good physically either. And so I started really putting the connection together between the emotions and my physiology. And when I had certain stresses, certain parts of my body would not feel good. And so at that point, I began to look for areas out there where I can learn more about it. And that's where I met Dr. John DeMartini, who's a mentor of mine. I've been studying for about 16 years. And began to really devour the mind-body connection and how what you think affects your physiology. And for 16 years, I've been really working on that every year, and actually became certified as a facilitator in this work, which is how to help people shift their perceptions, reduce their stress levels, help the body heal. So then I brought that into my practice. And that's kind of one of the key components that led me to meet my lovely wife, Tanya, because we both are in that same field. And so we then brought that piece of the puzzle into the clinic. And so then I realized, wow, this really completes the triad of health for me. I understand how the physical body and how important that is, and then the chemical aspect, and now I've got the emotional piece. And so that led us to this wellness triad of chemical, physical, and emotional stresses, okay? And these are the three stresses that causes everything. So when someone comes in the clinic and they've got a symptom of some kind, well, it's going to be because there's some kind of imbalance chemically, physically, emotionally, okay? And I think the one thing that really sets apart our clinic and our philosophy of how we treat patients is we do look at all three aspects. And I think that's a unique thing to this area that we provide, because people miss out on some of these areas. I've had patients come in and physically they feel really good and they're exercising and feel fine. And chemically they may have a good diet, but Miss Jones walks in she's feeling good, except when she gets stressed out, she has back pain or she has digestive problems. And so being able to understand that and help her with the emotional stresses allows that person to get over whatever they're having. And if we didn't have that emotional piece, then we would miss that whole boat. So I think being able to look at all areas of stresses allows us to treat more and more things. And again, every day in the clinic we see people who come in with health issues and they've got emotional stresses that are causing that. And so that's a really important piece of the puzzle, I think, that all of us probably have seen in your life. Have you noticed that when you get stressed out, your physiology changes? You know, you might have stomach problems or back problems, or when you get tense, your shoulders get tight, okay? Blood pressure goes up when you get angry or frustrated, those kind of things. So the correlation is pretty clear. And I remember when I got out 20 years ago, the emotional piece wasn't a big thing, that wasn't out there that much. But over the last 20 years, it's become paramount. And I think it's probably, of the three stresses, it's the one that if it's not together, it blows the other two out, okay? And so, but to have a nice rounded chemical, physical, emotional balance is super key. And so this is what we teach our clients, this is what we teach our patients, this is what we want you to learn. When we want to create the wellness lifestyle, learning how to balance what you put in your body or don't put in your body, which is the chemical aspect, what you do to your body or don't do to your body that causes stress, but also what you think about yourself, your life, your environment, the rest of your world. That also affects your overall health and well-being. And so we want to teach people how to master all three areas. And then what I've noticed is when people learn how to pay attention to the body, because your body tells you when you're out of balance. And my question to you is, what does your body do whenever you have an imbalance of chemical, physical, emotional stresses? What happens? What do you get?
Sick.
You get sick, which is a symptom. So you start having symptoms. So if you're thinking about symptoms, how many of you ever had symptoms in your life? Everyone, right? Symptoms are your body's warning signs, and it's your body's way of telling you that something's wrong, okay? And so what I've noticed over the years, and this is very common, is when someone has a symptom, what do you want to do? You want to get rid of that symptom as quick as possible. And the medical profession likes to write a prescription. You got pain? Here, take this pain pill. You have inflammation? Here, take this anti-inflammatory. Okay, your stomach hurts? Here, take this. It'll stop your stomach pain. And so what we want to teach people and empower people with is the ability to pay attention to your symptoms, step back and ask the question, why is my body having these symptoms? What is out of balance in my life? What have I been putting in or not putting in my body? What am I doing to my body or not doing to my body? And what have I been thinking about? What am I stressed about that could be affecting my physiology? And so when you learn to pay attention to your symptoms, and when your body's speaking to you through those symptoms, if you can learn how to understand what's going on, then you can self-regulate and you can heal yourself, okay? Which is what I ultimately would love to teach people, is how to be your own doctors, how to be your own master of healing your own self. And the only way to do that is to look at your symptoms and not say, gosh, I got to get rid of this symptom quickly, but asking, what's the wisdom of my body telling me right now about my whole entire life, okay? And then you can look at your life and think, okay, good, what did I eat last few days? I ate a whole pizza and I drank 6 beers last night. Maybe that's why my stomach hurts today. Maybe that's why I have symptoms of sinus problems, you know? Or I haven't worked out in 5 years and I went and did an hour workout and pumped iron and ran a mile and I'm really hurting today. Maybe that's why I have pain. Maybe I don't need a pain pill. Maybe it's just I need to learn more about how to physically take care of my body. Does that make sense? Or even this one is a big one. You feel like you're having anxiety. Anybody ever have anxiety before? Anxiety, depression, all those are also symptoms, okay, of your body. There's something out of balance. That doesn't mean you have a disease. It means that you have a symptom, you're depressed, you have anxiety, there's something causing that. And so just like back pain and just like a stomach ache, depression and anxiety and other symptoms of emotional stresses, that's what they're there for, is to teach you what it is going on. And so you have an opportunity to correct that. And to me, that makes more sense. And I've always liked things that make sense all throughout my life. You know, like I said, I like to ask questions, and I like to have an understanding of what's going on. And to me, doing this kind of work makes sense to me. Okay, being able to look at your life and scan your body and say, wow, what did I do to cause these symptoms? Because it is all about you. Your health and well-being is about you, ultimately. And so if you can empower yourself to be able to appreciate your symptoms and not be upset about them, but appreciate that your body is actually intelligent enough to give you a symptom. Because if you have a symptom, say, of a stomach ache, okay, or let's say high blood pressure, okay, or diabetes, which is all symptoms, and what if you just took a pill and just ignored those symptoms? What happens?
It gets worse.
Your body gets worse because it's doing its job. It's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, here's some soreness and pain. You got a problem here. And if you say, oh, forget it, here, I'm going to take this pill and ignore it, your body takes a hammer and says, hey, here's a bigger pain, right? And it keeps getting bigger and bigger until all of a sudden you have something that you're going to say, oh, shoot, maybe I should do something about this. And so what if you could learn how to pay attention to the small symptoms and the little changes that you see in your body and or in your thinking and start addressing it when it's early stages? You think you could prevent issues from happening, okay? And that's what it's all about, is learning how to heal yourself and prevent getting worse symptoms as you get older, okay? So if we learn about this health triad, which is, I think, the foundation of our teaching here at the clinic, if you can learn how to take this health triad and then implement it in your entire life, then I think you can have a more rounded, long-term wellness lifestyle. Because when we're talking about a wellness lifestyle, it's not just about your health, okay? Wellness isn't just about your health, it's about your entire life. And so you have to look at your entire life if you want to have long-term, permanent changes, okay, that stick. And I think that's the key, changes that stick. I see people who go through programs and fad diets and different things out there that are offered, and they may do well for 6-8 weeks or 4 or 5 months, but because it's not a lifestyle shift, it all falls off again. And so I'm more interested in creating a lifestyle shift. And chemically, what we look at is balancing the body's pH with certain nutrition, certain diet. I'm a big proponent of looking at eating more alkaline-rich foods and staying away from more acidic-rich foods, okay? Because I think that helps balance the pH. Physically, I think it's important to have chiropractic care and find those activities and exercises that you really love to do, because everyone needs to be active, okay? Because, you know, if you don't use it, you definitely do lose it. And this is why when people get to that age of retirement, if whatever that means, and they all of a sudden aren't doing anything anymore and they are sitting around a lot, they get unhealthier and healthier, and they get sicker and sicker as the years go by because they're not being active any longer, okay? And emotionally, having some kind of purpose and a drive and a goal that you're always going for, you know, man, that really makes a difference in your life. How many of you ever had a goal you've been going for and you're really inspired about it? How does that make you feel in your whole body? I mean, it changes your whole outlook when you have something bigger to go toward, okay? And so learning to have these 3 stresses under control is crucial, because your body is amazing. I mean, we can adapt to stress levels. I mean, you can. One thing that I recommend to patients is to pay attention to what you're doing. If you're having a really stressful day, let's say you had a stressful day at work, emotionally stressed out to the max, that's the worst time to add chemical stresses to your diet and add physical stresses as well. Your body can handle a certain amount of stress. It's just when you overload it. So if you have physical stresses because you're physically wearing yourself out, you're not sleeping well, and now you add to it not eating very well, you have chemical stresses, and now you have the emotional stresses, this is when you have the big crashes, okay? And always like this time of year, patients are coming in, they say, I got the flu, okay? You know this is flu season, right? But if you look at from October 31st to the first of the year, and you look at Halloween, you look at Thanksgiving, you look at Christmas, and you look at New Year's, it's the most highest time of year of chemical stresses because the food you're eating. It's the highest time of year for physical stresses because people are typically working more, they're physically wearing themselves out, and they stop their exercise program a lot of times this time of year. But also emotional stresses are higher that time of year as well. And so flu season is actually high stress season. That's all it really means. So your body, when it gives you flu symptoms, and every time I ask someone, oh, hey, I've got the flu, what are your symptoms? Everyone's got different symptoms. It's amazing. Some people say, well, I got sinus problem. Well, my stomach hurts. Well, I've got fever. You got symptoms, basically. And your symptoms are trying to tell you that you've overloaded yourself. Okay? That's all it really means. You haven't got a disease. You don't need a flu shot. You just need to monitor your chemical, physical, emotional stresses a lot better. And I did this a few years ago. I decided, you know what? This is the time of year, and in January, historically, I would be the same boat. I would also get sick. I would also have flu symptoms, right? I wouldn't get a flu shot, but I would just be down. And one year I said, you know what, I'm going to really watch this. I'm going to really monitor my physical, chemical, and emotional stresses this year. And I didn't get sick at all. And now I'm self-regulating myself, and I don't get sick. I don't want to get sick. I don't have time for it. Who does have time to get sick? You don't have time for it. And so it's a very easily preventable thing because you have an immune system. If you keep your immune system strong and healthy, you typically don't need to worry about getting sick and getting the flu and getting run down and getting where you got to take out. You don't have to. But every time, I guarantee you, and I see patients do this, you work yourself to death, you don't eat right, and what does your body do? It crashes. Because your body is going to make you stop and take care of yourself one way or the other. Whether you want to wait till you get some kind of disease or you physically can't go any longer, it's going to happen. And so my suggestion is learn how to regulate your own well-being by monitoring your chemical, physical, emotional stresses. It's pretty simple that way. And part of what we're talking about creating the wellness lifestyle is learning how to do that. And when I have patients and clients who learn this technique, I don't see them for the same problems anymore. They got it figured out. And just like myself, I know my limits on what I can and can't eat. And what's great about this process of being able to monitor this is you can still have some chemically stressful foods that you love. I love a really good dessert, and I'm going to have one if I go certain places and they got it. I want to have that dessert. And if I know I'm going to have that dessert, then I'm not going to also have the main meal that's also chemically stressful. Okay, I'm going to be able to enjoy that dessert. Because what I see people do is this. You want to have this lovely piece of dessert, whatever it is. I like a good tiramisu personally, and I want to have that. And so if you go dig in and eating that thing, sometimes you feel guilty about it because you're like, oh, I really shouldn't be eating this as you eat it, right? So what I like about this is if you monitor yourself and you're realizing you're chemically not stressing yourself out that much and you're physically taking good care of yourself and as well you're not emotionally stressed, then you can actually enjoy that dessert because it's not going to cause a reaction in you. Okay? But if you already are physically stressed out, emotionally stressed out, and then you go chow down on these comfort foods that we tend to want to go for when we're stressed out, that's when your body crashes. That's when you wake up the next day, I got a headache, I got sinus problem, my stomach hurts, I got heartburn, okay? Do you have any kind of disease? Have you had any kind of major thing? No, you just have overloaded yourself, okay? And the medical guys love to treat your symptoms with medication, which causes even more chemical stresses on your body. So then you get into a vicious cycle, okay? So I don't think we need to be on that many medications. Okay? I think that you can regulate yourself with diet, nutrition, and supplementation and learning how to manage your emotions. Okay? I've seen it happen on patients throughout the years, and I've had patients come in that physically, chemically, and emotionally were wrecks. Okay? Unhealthy, overweight, in pain, stressed out to the max. And we take them through this process and we teach you how to monitor your chemical stresses and what you're putting in. And we monitor your physical activities and put you on a program of physical rehabilitation through chiropractic and exercises and yoga and other activities that work for you. And also you learn to manage those emotions. It's life-changing. You do a complete turnaround. Because you can be, if you're just working, if you have a really healthy chemical area and you eat well, you take your vitamins and you chemically eat the right stuff, but you stay emotionally stressed and physically stressed, you're still going to have issues, okay? It's all about balance. And so we want to teach people how to balance their stresses in their life. And I like it a lot better because I don't want to restrict, I don't want to not eat the foods that even though I know they're not great, I still want to have some of those foods. I'm not saying you eat a whole pie. I'm saying you eat a piece of that, okay? But because you eat a piece of that, you also chemically do other things that are healthy for you. Physically, you take care of yourself, and emotionally, you take care of yourself. If you take this model, and you understand this model, and this is something that you're going to learn how to put into your life, what you want to do is then look at your entire life, which we like to call the rich model. And this is about, 4 years ago, Tanya and I were looking at the areas of life, and we realized that, one area is you've got your relationships, okay? You've got your family, immediate family. You got your friends that you're in relationship with. You have coworkers that you hang out with maybe, but you also have got your intimate relationship with your spouse, your partner, your girlfriend, boyfriend, or both, whatever. And so this is your relationship area. Next is you've got your career, which is your service that you love to do. My career is being a chiropractor and a wellness coach. But also it's about being able to do what you love to do. I see a lot of people who are doing jobs that they're not doing what they love to do. And I don't know if anyone's ever done a job or had a career in your life where you weren't inspired about it and it wasn't something you loved doing. That's stressful all in itself, okay? Wake up in the morning, oh gosh, I got to go do this work again today, okay? Also, this has to do with, providing for you and providing for your family and having your financial stability as well, okay? And then in the health piece, that's how you look, how you feel, physically, your vitality, and how you want to express yourself physically in the world. And this is where you have the physical, chemical, and emotional triad that is in that area. In the middle, which is the paramount most important thing, this is you. This is your identity. This is who you are. This is your purpose. This is your spiritual calling. This is why you're here. This is your values. This is what's important to you. This is how you identify yourself, and this is how you want to be seen in the world, which is, to me, the center of it all, okay? And I've had clients that, they have perceived really good jobs, they have plenty of cash, or good relationships, plenty of cash, good job, physically feel good, but they just don't feel like they're on purpose, or they feel like they're off, and maybe they don't know what they're doing. And this is kind of be described as your why, because everyone has a why, okay? Everyone has a purpose for being here. And to be able to connect to that why, and to understand that, wow, there is a higher calling that you have to do here, I think is really important when you're creating your wellness lifestyle. Because if you don't have a direction or a goal or a purpose to go toward, then what's the point of having good health? You're not going to be driven to have that, because your health, as you can see by this pyramid, is the foundation of your entire life. I know in my life, and I would imagine you might resonate with this, you might be having a great job, plenty of cash, but when you get sick or you have health problems, all of a sudden that stuff doesn't matter. Have you ever noticed that? You get sick, or you're down, you're not going to work. You're not going to be able to enjoy the relationships and your friends and family as well, because now you're dealing with a health issue, okay? Anybody ever been there before? Even on a minor basis. Wake up with the flu, all of a sudden you're not going to work, you're up in bed, honey, take care of me kind of thing, I don't feel good today. And so being able to have a really strong foundation of health is what we feel, our philosophy is, that's paramount. That's number one. To be able to do that, connecting with your own identity and trying to figure out what your why is. So part of our program this year is to help people understand what is your why. What is that vision that you have for yourself that you want to do for your life, and why are you here, okay? Why is it that health is that important to you? And because if your health is paramount, and if you learn to balance your chemical, physical, emotional stresses, and you have health that's top-notch, then all the other areas of your life, I feel, can flourish, okay? Because I know that I've had times in my life where I was sick, and all of a sudden I'm not enjoying my work because I don't feel good. If I don't feel good, I'm not going to be able to do a good job at helping others, because I'm not taking care of myself. Same thing with my relationships. When you feel down and you don't feel good, and you're hurting, or you have other health issues, man, it's hard to make those relationships flourish, I think, okay? And so one of the big keys this year is through our program is we want you to understand how to manage your stresses, chemical, physical, emotional, how to look at your why and figure out how to make yourself centered, because your life is really ultimately about you. You know, you're in charge. And so you creating your health and creating a program that's centered around you is crucial. And what I've seen before, like I said, is people may have a desire to have better health, but they don't take into account that they have relationships. You have kids, you have friends, you have family members that need your attention. You have a job that needs you. You have finances that you need to make, okay? That's your stability. And so if you're trying to implement a new program, and what I've seen in the past is you get really excited about a program, you got a plan for 6 weeks, 8-week plan, but you don't take into account these areas of your life, then all of a sudden you create these expectations that you're going to be able to do it all, and you just can't. You can't do it all because you do have other things that are important in your life, right? Okay, I'm sure everyone in here has what's important to you: your family, your career, your friends, your finances. All those things are going to be something that most of us have to deal with. You know, those aren't going to disappear just because you start a health program. You're still a mom, you're still a wife, you're still a husband, you still have a job, you're still a boss, you're still an employee. You still have to do all those things as well. So one of the biggest things I see that causes people to not follow through is they don't take into account their entire life when they start their program, okay? So my suggestion this year is let's look and see your entire life, and let's come up with a plan that fits into your entire world, okay? And if you do that, then that becomes a lifestyle shift, and it becomes who you are. You want to become the wellness, the health and well-being person that you are, that you have a vision for. And not just for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or 6 months. You want to make that permanent shift. And I've seen patients do this where they've come in the office, they're sick and down, and they make a shift. It's like flipping a switch. You decide, you know what, I'm going to do this now. And then you tell everybody about it. You tell your family, you tell your friends, you tell your coworkers, you tell your boss, or you tell your employees, this is my new program. This is what I'm going to be doing. And so you implement your wellness program within your entire life. And the chances of succeeding and staying with that program are superbly higher. Does that make sense? And so as you become and you put together your wellness plan, this is what we want you to learn to create. And through our Facebook page, through our videos and blogs and such, we want you we want to help you create this lifestyle change for long-term shifts. And I think it's fun to have long-term shifts. It's much easier to stay well than it is to get well. I mean, I've gotten people well and helped them get well for 22 years. And sometimes it's hard work. But when you get there, it's a lot easier to maintain your health once you're there. So, you know, healthcare costs go way down when you're healthier and you are in the prevention mode. Healthcare costs go way up when you're in sick care. And I think that one of the things that we're taught here, especially in America, is sick care is very popular. You know, you wait till you get sick and then you go try to do something about it. That's really expensive. Because I don't know if you've ever been to that situation and all of a sudden you're sick, you go to your doctor, what do? Well, you got to have this test, you got to have that test, and you get these medications, and you're spending lots and lots of cash on those things. And so on a long term, if you look at long-term costs, it's way cheaper to do preventative measures, to monitor your own chemical, physical, emotional stresses, to do the things that you need to do in order to get healthier and stay healthier. Because sometimes, you know, we learn different habits, we learn patterns from our parents, from our mentors, from TV, from the media, about what we need to do to try to be healthier, okay, and what we think about our health. And so you've got to learn, you got to change those patterns and change those beliefs, or it just doesn't stick. And so I think one of the aspects of creating a lifestyle shift is changing your thinking about your health. And to change your thinking is you understand how important it is. Your health is not just for you, but your entire life, you know, to your relationships and your career and your own identity. You know, when you feel good, man, life seems to work better, I think. You know, when you feel down, you get more roadblocks and challenges. So I like the idea of prevention, and I think it's one of the things that our tenets that we teach here is learning how to use preventative measures and do wellness care as opposed to sick care. Okay? Questions? Any of this sinking in? Is some of this making sense? Yes.
Oh, it was back here. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
So when you were talking about the alkaline water,
Yes.
I was talking with a friend, and you know, our body always wants to maintain a nice balance.
Nice balance of
so
pH.
when we're putting alkaline into our body and
Right.
we're making our body alkaline, does it put our body in stress because it wants a balance?
The majority of the people, because our world and the average American diet is extremely acidic. Okay, new studies have shown that when you have emotional stresses, it affects the pH, and so we all tend to be more acidic. Okay, and it's not any better to be too alkaline either. So the goal is not to be too alkaline; it's to be more balanced. And we kind of fluctuate off and on. You might drop down and you go up, but the idea is to try to maintain a balance that works for you. Okay, and so the majority of my patients, the majority of people I work with, and that are sick and unhealthy, tend to be too acidic. Doesn't mean 100% of the people, but the majority tend to be too acidic. And so it's just about learning to balance that out. You know, I'm not big on the strict diets, no carbs and all that kind of stuff, because I think you need that as well. I teach more of a moderation. It's more of a balance. Okay, listen to your body. It will tell you when you're getting out of balance, because it's it's amazing how your body is so intelligent. It'll tell you when you're off. And so I've seen so many changes in people's health by just shifting the type of water they drink to more alkaline-rich water, eating more alkaline-rich foods, transforms people's lives. Okay, health-wise, the way they feel, their inflammatory processes go down, their pain levels go down, they sleep better, they have more energy. And so if that works for you, then that's what you need to do. Doesn't work for everybody, but again, it's about listening to your body. Wow, I notice when I eat these foods, I feel a lot better. My digestion's better, I have more energy. Your body's trying to tell you something. I notice when I eat these foods, I feel kind of tired, I feel run down, my bowels are not right, I can't think as clearly. I think it's about learning to pay attention to what you're putting in. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other questions? It's a good time to ask questions right now. Anything else? Good. Let's keep rolling. The third point I want to make tonight is about creating your wellness roadmap. Okay? And this is really key, and I think that this is something that can require some assistance on because it's maybe a new thing. Okay? So when we talk about the wellness roadmap, there's 5 Ds that I like to talk about. First D is deciding that you want to make a change. Don't even bother trying to make a change if you truly haven't decided to make a change. How many of you have ever decided 100% that you want to do something and you decide to do it? What happens? You do it. You get it done. Mm-hmm. When you decide to do it, I'm the same way. When I decide I want to do something and I'm really intent on doing it, I'm going to get it done because that's important to me. We always do the things that are most important to us. You know, if it's a value for you and you can see that it's going to be life-changing and it's important, you're going to get it done. You know, if you have a high value on your kids, man, you're going to really get that done to help you. You're going to really do whatever you got to do to take care of your kids. You got a high value on your business and working, you're going to really decide to do something about it. So you have a value on your health, okay? And one of our goals in this program is to help you increase the value you have for your health. We're not trying to make you all health nuts where every day you work out and you eat perfectly and you are a picture of health, because that's not realistic, because everyone has a different set of values. But what we want to do is take the value of health and begin to show you, and on your own you begin to see that, man, that's the greatest wealth I can have for my entire life, is add that component of health to my whole entire life. And so I think when you learn to realize how important your health is to your overall well-being, to your relationships, to your career, and to your own person, I think it makes it a lot easier to make that switch and decide who I want to do this. Because you want to flip that switch. And when you flip the switch, you're going to do it. I don't recommend starting programs unless you have decided that you're going to commit to making a change. Because what happens is you halfway do it, which we've all done this, right? You halfway decide to do it. You get through the program, halfway through, all of a sudden, oh, this other thing that's more important comes up, or this other thing that's most important comes up, and then the health goes down the tubes. See this all the time. So when you decide to make the shift, that's the best place to start. And you know it. And you know what it feels like when you decide to do something, because it's an internal feeling that I've made a decision that I'm going to do this new thing, and you do it, okay? So step one on the roadmap is deciding to do it. And I think that because you are here, and people that couldn't be here tonight that are going to listen to this program or are part of our New Year, New You group, I think there's been some decisions made that you want to change your health. You want to have a higher level of health. You might feel pretty good, but maybe you want to go even better. You want to fine-tune your health. Or maybe you just feel lousy, or you have weight gain and you want to get rid of that. Decide that that's what you want to do first. Because what I find is once I decide to do something, the other parts are easy. Because it's not hard to lose weight and get in shape and get your body healthy and your mind healthy and eat better foods. It's just deciding to do it. Okay? So step one, most important, is deciding to do it. The next step is defining what it is that you'd love to create in your health. How you want to look. How exactly do you want to feel? We call this your wellness manifesto. And a manifesto is just a laid out plan, written out of exactly what you want to create in your life. So we actually put a video up this past week about how to do this. And so basically what you do is you sit down and you think, okay, I'm deciding I want to change my health. What is it that I want to create? Because if you don't have a vision for where you're going, it's like taking off on a trip without a map. You don't know where you're ending up, so you don't know what you're going for. And so it's really hard to put a plan together without some kind of idea what you want to accomplish. So my suggestion is get really clear, write down in paper, on your computer, exactly how you would love to look and feel. What does that look like for you? How does that feel? You want to lose weight? How much do you want to lose? You want to have more energy? What does that look like to you? What are some things that you want to be able to have energy for? You know, what is your why for wanting to lose weight? Because if you don't connect it to your bigger why, then you don't have anything that it sticks to, okay? Then it becomes just a temporary thing you do and you fall off again. And so sit down and write up. Take a few minutes for yourself and write exactly how you would love to look and feel. You can always edit it and change it, add to it, take away from it, but at least you put something down and you know where you're going to go. Okay, you at least have a direction. Does that make sense? And I think that's the second step, okay, after you decide. Now, next thing is designing a plan that works. And this is what I was talking about on the Rich model, which is when you're designing a plan, which is, okay, this is my goals, this is what I would love to create, this is how I'd love to look and feel. What is my plan of getting there? This is where I want to go on a vacation. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is what it looks like. How am I going to get there now? Okay, what's my roadmap? Okay, how am I going to do this? And so when you're designing a plan, like I said earlier, the most important key is you've got to look at your entire life, okay? Look at the relationships that you have and the time you spend and how much time do you want to still spend with your family, friends, intimate partner. Look at your job, how much time you spend there and what you want to create there. And look at your finances as well, because sometimes making shifts in your health requires spending some money on yourself, okay? And to me, any dollar you spend on your health pays you back tenfold easily, okay? And so I think you got to have that plan together and really lay it out before you get rolling on your trip. You want to know the plan. And so define what it is you want and then design that plan on how you're going to get there. What kind of exercises do you love doing? Okay, I have a lot of patients or clients who, man, they want to get fit and healthy. They say, great, I'm going to go out and start running. Okay, they come in the office the next week and their back hurts, their legs hurt, their feet hurt. And I'm like, do you like running? No. I'm like, well, why are you doing it then? Well, because that's what I'm supposed to do. No, you're not. You're supposed to do what you love doing. That's what you're supposed to do. And so that same goes for your fitness. If you don't love to run, you don't love to lift weights, don't do those things. Because what's happening is you're running and you're going, gosh, I hate doing this. I really don't like this. And the stress of running and the stress of doing an exercise you don't like doing is counterbalancing all the good that that's doing for you. Does that make sense? It's kind of like going back and eating some foods that you don't really enjoy. Or some people that smoke, it's like the stress of doing those things equals, or if not over, the guilt of doing those things can be just as worse as the actual act of doing it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so it's about choosing the things that you love to do. Find those exercises that you love. Dancing, walking, hiking, yoga, whatever it is, add that to your plan. Same thing goes for your food. Don't choose a bunch of foods that every time you eat it, you're like, God, this is disgusting. I really hate this. Because the energy of that counterbalances the goodness of the food you're eating. And so choose foods that you love to eat. I think having lists are great. So if I'm having someone that's going to change their diet, I like to give them a list of foods to eat and say, eat more of these, eat less of these. So then you have a lot of choices, okay? Because I think it's important when you're eating foods to have choices. And I'm kind of a foodie kind of guy, so I really love my food. I love good food. And so I love food that tastes good, that's prepared well. And so I think it's important that when you're considering your diet and what kind of food you're going to put in your body, think about the energy of the food that you're doing. For instance, a McDonald's hamburger is a lot different energy hamburger than, say, you get a gourmet one that was prepared by a chef that took time and prepared it, okay? Food has energy to it. And so what you think about your food that you're eating is really important, okay? And so look at foods that work for you. Pay attention to your body when you eat it. Try new things. I mean, I discovered dates this year, and I'm in love with them. I love that. I've never had a date till a year ago or so, and I'm like, my God, where have these things been? These are amazing. They're really good for you, and they taste great. And so same goes for kale and beets. I ate beets a couple years ago. I'm like, oh, these are amazing. I never tried one in my life. When I was a kid, I'm like, oh, those are purple. I don't want to eat those. Those don't look good, right? And so when you're a kid, sometimes how it looks, you don't want to try it because it looks funny. Okay, but you want to have those foods that are colorful and rich and have nice greens and purples and all these lovely antioxidants in there. So try foods you haven't ever tried before, and you might be surprised. It's really good. What I've noticed is as your body becomes healthier, okay, you stop craving those comfort foods and the sugar foods and the stuff that's not great for you, and you actually want more food that's healthy for you. And so foods that you might not used to like back when you were maybe eating not so great, you're going to probably like now, because one thing is you're going to like how it feels when you eat them, okay? And then nowadays, me personally, I used to be like a maniac for chocolate. Like I mentioned, I used to chocolate donuts, chocolate milk. When I was a kid, my mom used to make fudge, and she would put 5 cups of sugar in there, and I'd be licking the bowl and eating those things like crazy. I would literally take a cup, and I'd put ice in it, and then I would put sugar all in there and eat the ice. And then the best part was drinking the melted water. It was awesome. This is back when I was a little kid. And so nowadays, I can't even begin to do that because it's just too sweet. Things are too sweet for me now that used to not be so sweet. And as your body changes and you become more balanced inside, you stop those cravings. Your blood sugar balances out. And you eat a food that's got too much sugar, you're like, gosh, this thing is really sweet. Well, used to be like, oh, I could eat the whole thing. It changes. And so give yourself an opportunity to try new things. And when you're creating your plan, allow yourself to try new foods and just be open-minded and give it a shot, okay? So, creating your plan, once again, look at your entire life, make sure it fits, and then share this information with your family, your friends, your coworkers, and let them know your plans. I think a lot of people that start plans that don't really let everyone get involved with them may fall short because you don't have that support group. So I think it's great to have a support group. So have your plan laid out specifically. Next is dissolving limiting beliefs and roadblocks. We've all grown up differently, different parents, different influences, and you've learned ways of thinking and different beliefs about food and about exercise and about stresses as well. I have patients who come in and they're stressed out about things. They don't even know why. And it's because that's what they were taught. You're supposed to be stressed about these kind of things. Okay? And so looking at the limiting beliefs and roadblocks that you can see that might get in your way, and already take a look at those and write those down so you can already decide how you're going to handle those as they come along. Because you're always going to have roadblocks and obstacles come along. But if you can look ahead at the ones that are common in the past, I know that people, if you've tried a program in the past and it hasn't worked, well, what was the roadblocks or limiting beliefs that stopped you from doing it? So get those things down and let's take a look at those things and really look, because you're not going to be alone in those. And really address those limiting beliefs and roadblocks, okay? Last thing, doesn't happen without it, is just doing it, okay? Taking action now that you have a plan. Again, don't worry about taking action until you have this all laid out, because, man, you're going to run into trouble if you don't. And so lay out your plan, decide to do it, define it, design your plan, dissolve those limiting beliefs and roadblocks, and then start doing it. And what happens is this: when you start doing it with intention and with that decision, you're going to start feeling better. And you're going to, and just kind of watch how better health and well-being begins to manifest in your life, because it does. And that's when it gets fun, because after you do it for a while and you start seeing changes and you feel better, it becomes really easy to stay on it. And it's not work any longer. It actually becomes a part of who you are. And you've changed your thinking and you've changed your physiology and you feel healthier. And that's where you get the permanent long-term changes that we want to help people create this year. This is 2015, the year of your health transformation. This is about changing your thinking and changing your attitude toward health. And so you get long-term changes. So you're not here next year going, well, I did it for 6 weeks and now I'm back again. I gained my weight back. Okay? Nobody wants to do that, right? And so we want to help you with this year. And so we put together this New Year, New You website, or Facebook page rather, that you can come join and post questions and ideas and tell us what's going on, okay? Does that make sense? So, questions now at this point. Good. Last thing I want to cover is I want to tell you a little bit about some statistics that I thought were very important for this group. Top causes of death in the United States. Okay? Number 1, heart disease. Preventable stuff. It's about what you're putting in. It's about your chemical, physical, emotional stresses. Number 2, cancer as well. Things that are preventable. Things that your body can actually prevent if you start doing the right things now. Cancer is another symptom. It's a symptom that your body, your mind has is overloaded, and it's just a symptom of too much, and it's time to make a change. That's just the body's way. That's the hammer I was telling you about. Now you're getting a sledgehammer going, okay, you've got to change something now. Whereas 10 years ago it was, well, you got a little fatigue, stomach problems, bowel issues. You didn't fix it, it gets worse, okay? Third most common cause of death is medical care, which is wild to me, okay? There's 100,000 people every year that die from properly prescribed medication. Meaning, doctor gave them the right thing, but they died from it. 100,000 people a year, okay? To me, that's kind of scary, because you never know who that's going to be. You took the right thing, but it killed you because your body didn't need it, didn't want it, didn't help you. It was just treating your symptom, okay? 1/3 of the people in the U.S., meaning adults and children, are obese, okay? And obesity links, I'm sure all of us know someone who has obese problems, okay? Obesity leads to all kinds of problems: diabetes, heart disease, plaquing, etc. Goes on and on. 70%, like I said earlier, of people are on medications, okay, which is a whole lot of people. How many do we have in here? That means 7 of you are on medication, or 8 of you. The number 1 prescription medicine, antidepressants, means that we're depressed. Why that's another emotional stresses. So all these things we're talking about basically can be helped with chemical, physical, emotional stress help, okay? Second most common is high blood pressure, okay? So everyone knows someone that is affected by this, I think, okay? And so we're basically overweight, overstressed, malnourished, okay? So what do we do about it? What's the answer? The answer is wellness and prevention. The answer is paying attention to your body. The answer is putting together your wellness roadmap that works for you in your life based on what it is you'd love to do in your life. Back to your why again. Everyone's got a different why, okay? And so it's about reconnecting to yourself, putting together a plan that works, and then following through with it, okay? And I think that once you do that, you're not going to be one of these statistics, okay? No one wants to be a statistic, but we all know someone who is, okay? And so I encourage everyone to take heed of what we're talking about today, join our New Year You program, and get started on it. And I have an offer. I told you earlier I have an offer for you guys. So here's what we're going to do this year. Anybody who's really interested in making this kind of shift, making that change into a different level of health and well-being, no matter how small or big it is, you're going to offer you a free 20-minute consultation with me. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through, I'm going to help you put together this wellness roadmap. We're going to get you started on this thing. Because without a roadmap, it's hard to get to that destination that you want to get to, okay? So we're going to do a 20-minute consult to hammer down, let's get this laid out, help you get clear so you can have a clear plan and a roadmap to go by, okay? So if you want to do it after this class, see Tanya, and we've got spots set up, she'll set it aside for you, and we'll meet. You can either do it on the phone, we can do it on Skype, or we can do it in person. It doesn't really matter, because we can do it anywhere. No matter where you live, no matter what time it is, we'll figure out a time to get you set up. And so from that point on, then you've got your support group. You got the New Year New You Facebook, you've got the office, we've got some videos we're putting out, and then it's just up to you to get started on it. And throughout the next few weeks, and every single month, we're going to have a different topic. I think our next topic is going to be on the mind-body connection, how what you think affects your physiology. I think the next one after that is going to be on addictions and how to look at certain addictions that you have to sugar or to smoking or anything that you are doing in your life that you know is not improving your health, but you just can't seem to stop doing it. We're going to address what that is and how to help you with that kind of stuff. One of the most common addictions I see in the clinic is sugar. People have a hard time with that. It's a drug. And so getting off sugar is just as worse as getting off cigarettes or cocaine or whatever it is, And so we want to help people with this. And so every month we'll have a different topic that's going to build upon what we're started tonight, okay? And if you join the Facebook page, we're going to be building on top of that, okay? We're going to be giving you information that you can take with you and you can share with people, and you can improve the health and create that long-term wellness change and create your personal wellness plan that works for you, okay? And that's what we want to do. And again, when I was 17 years old, I knew I wanted to do this. When I think about my accident, I'm so thankful that it happened. I would be an accountant right now, really screwing up people's taxes. Trust me, sitting behind a desk. And if anyone knows me, you probably know, how is he going to sit behind a desk for 8 hours? He can't even sit still. And so I'm really grateful for those things that have happened. And so we're going to be teaching you that, man, all the things that have happened in your life have got blessings to it, just like my accident, just like things have happened to you that have led you to be here tonight. It's something to be thankful for. And so I appreciate everyone coming out tonight and for our first talk. We're going to do this every Monday, the last Monday of the month. So come on out, bring your friends and family. We'll be in this room. And I promise you we'll add to this. And if you can continue with this program, you're going to get a lot out of it. And this time next year, you look back at where you are now, you're going to have a whole different lifestyle shift. And it's going to be fun. So thank you everyone for coming out tonight.